Hello everyone and welcome to another tournament video that we're doing. We are past the halfway point now, so that's exciting. It is the three of us back to debate an interesting two games here, Wind Waker versus Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Wind Waker is a very cartoony, fun Zelda game in a very well-known franchise, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare is a very intense game that kind of changed the face of what Call of Duty was. Whether or not we like the direction this game took it in, similar to Resident Evil 4, it was an absolutely outstanding classic that I think was universally loved.
Yeah, this one's Call of Duty 4, right? The very first Modern Warfare?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think to start off, I want to say Wind Waker is interesting because people didn't like the idea of it at first, and then people loved it, whereas Modern Warfare was kind of loved the whole way, but it kind of put the franchise in a bad direction. I feel like Modern Warfare was so good that they thought people liked that modern futuristic aspect, and then it kind of turned on itself. Because the game was almost too perfect for what Call of Duty was going for, which I think is interesting. So I kind of just want to throw that out there before I open the floor to everybody else.
Okay, so
hey, this is you guys yelling over it. I'm the tiebreaker vote in this one.
Oh, we'll
that's going to be troublesome for me then. I have to convince a first-person shooter over a Zelda. But
actually, that's not. Actually, Travis, I'm not sure if you know this. Wind Waker is not up there for one of my favorite Zelda games. It's actually fairly low.
Nick is a bitch and likes bad games.
How do I like bad games?
Anyway, carry on with the debate. Let's go. What happened?
The Call of Duty side would never call you a bitch, Nick. I'd just like to point that. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is among it and Modern Warfare 2 are definitely my top two Call of Duty games. I think zombie mode in general is just overrated anyway, so that never really appeals to me to the World at War and any of the other Call of Duties that have a, oh my god, new zombie map. But I definitely agree that the Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 definitely breeded what is now garbage. It's not even called it, it's just garbage. Because like there's jetpacking over everything and wall running that's limitless on top of buildings but like I remember having so many just split screen tournaments of playing Sabotage with my older brother and his friends and then my group of friends, and we would just play all frickin' day, and it was just awesome because like the controls were super easy to get used to, and then like especially for the Call of Duty 4, the one that's actually here, it only had the individual classes. There's no customization, so you weren't waiting on your stupid friend who had to make the perfect thing, and heaven forbid he changed one thing, which he then decided to make everything else change. No, this is just like, here's your thing. If you want to go with it, go with it. If you don't like it, use a different class. And each class was great for different situations, so none of them were like more OP than the other, even though snipers are always the best because of the whole click aiming thing. But
how about the campaign though, Travis? Because that's probably the one thing that we
the
can
campaign is actually super good in 4. I loved one of the characters named Gaz. He was an absolute badass, and he made me really sad later. Because basically you're just going up against, the terrorists, because screw the terrorists. And even though it's mostly just running through the objectives and shooting all of them dead and moving on, like the very first mission
variety is not as like, as you say, mission variety is not like, it's not as robust, I guess. So, like,
definitely not. I mean, it's a shooter. Like the very first mission is probably as like crazy as it goes. There's like you start off on wet work, which is on a boat at night, and you have like all silenced weapons, so you're trying to be as stealthy as possible. But like if you blow your cover by picking up one of the weapons of the enemies and shooting it and alerting people, you just have a lot more people to be dealing with, but it's still fun. And then another one is a sniping mission where again you want to be as stealthy as possible, but that is my favorite mission because you are literally like miles away, and you just have to snipe this dude when the wind like starts to settle down. Otherwise, the bullet literally goes anywhere. I've had so much fun just trying to randomly shoot and getting him with the wind, which I was successful once.
Alright. So I guess one of the last things then, because I'm trying to find the things that are like kind of parallels between Wind Waker and Call of Duty. What about music? Can it actually hold a candle to the soundtrack of Wind Waker?
No. As much as I would love to try to, no. Like it's a shooter. Like it gets you amped and like in the moment to shoot people, but it's not going to like melt your heart with beautiful music that Wind Waker has. Like, Wind Waker is the only Zelda game I've actually beaten.
Yeah.
So, like,
Wow.
I know it's a beautifully crafted game. Like, it's a lot easier of a Zelda game than any of the others. I feel like it just made sense where you had to go and what you had to do. I mean, granted, I was also a crap ton older when I tried, but
How about this? I'll switch it up for this. Mike, see if you can defend this point. Collecting the Triforce shards at the end of Wind Waker. How do you justify that? That is one of the big things.
HD made it better.
Yeah, Wind Waker HD made it better, but in terms of the original Wind Waker is what we're comparing. Defend it, please. I need
changing
somebody
it
to
to
try to
HD
defend
version.
it.
I'm just kidding. Well, okay. Yeah, it was kind of tedious, but parts of it were, I thought, fun. I liked how it did make you use your boat mechanics. There were a couple parts where you had to use your boat, like in that, I forgot what the island was called, but where you have to use your cannons to take down that golden ship to get in there. I
like that one.
Yeah, there were a couple so it's not like it was all bad. There were some redeeming parts, and that was one part of the game, Nick. Everything else in that game was fantastic, exploring on the boat
But it
and
dragged
going to
on and on and on. It felt like it was longer than that.
It did feel like it dragged on. I think but it's one easy fix. It's if the Triforce pieces were there instead of the Triforce charts, I think that would have made it infinitely better. But again,
I would agree.
To me, it's one thing. The only annoying part was getting the money and getting the Triforce charts and all of that. But that's one component of the game that's not very good. In a game otherwise that I thought was pretty flawless, like you said, the music in it is incredible. I think it has the best music of any Zelda game.
I love sailing. I love so many things about Wind Waker, but there's just certain things about that was mainly the one thing, and the fact that 2 dungeons were, as much as I kind of hate to say it, was basically like escort missions for the entire dungeon, which is not something that I really look forward to in a game that is all about like big adventure and I don't know what I'm really trying to say, but in terms of what I think of as like a great Zelda staple. And basically going in, swords a-blazing, and doing all that stuff. I like the idea of bringing in the partners. I think it just wasn't executed well. You have to take so much time to do the command melody to keep moving them around. And it's not like that. And it's like that for the Temple of the Gods. It's like that for the Wind Temple and for the Earth Temple. I liked those temples still, and I still wasn't fans of them. But that just takes you out of your like absorbedness of engrossment of the game every single time.
Swords blazing doesn't make any sense.
What?
Swords blazing doesn't make any sense, Nick.
It doesn't. I agree with you there. All right, let's vote. I'm voting for it. No, I'm kidding.
Well, so
no, that's the issue. I would this one. If we can go on for a little longer, that's like one of the things I kind of want to get out of here because I've heard great things about Call of Duty. And again, like when I was in high school, everybody was talking about Call of Duty. I heard it constantly.
Oh, yeah,
I
was
got sick of always
addicted
hearing
to
it.
Call of Duty
I would hear it everywhere, and I've even played it recently, and I still think it's fun today. The issue that I have with Zelda is that, or with Wind Waker, again, all these Zelda games are fantastic freaking games. I do really like Wind Waker. There's just a couple of things that just don't make me want to go replay. I would still like to do a race for it at some point and do like who can get through the dungeons faster, and I still think it's a good game. But I have so many it's really just nitpicks about Wind Waker that really does not keep me to raise it to a very high standard of the Zelda games that I have. Like, I think that Wind Waker is fantastic. Again, I like the sailing, too. People complain about the sailing. I like the sailing. I like discovering all the islands. I think finishing the sea chart is so freaking fun. Even pouring the water on all the withered tree stumps. I even thought that was alright. What, for a heart piece? Yeah, not nearly as good of a reward as I thought it was going to be.
But it's a fun extra side mission. That's not required.
That's one of the things that it excels at, but that's why I'm torn on this.
I would say to you then, just out of curiosity, because I could go on and on about why I love Wind Waker.
Yeah.
Which game, because this is the theme you've had throughout, do you think accomplished its goal better? Because Wind Waker...
Yeah, that's what I've been going for a lot. Honestly.
It was a base that people didn't like. That this was a game that people thought was going to completely fail. And even if you don't like it, you can't deny it's one of the most loved Zelda games out there. So
I agree.
It was a complete underdog story that took assets that people thought would fail and succeeded in a lot of ways. So which game do you think?
A couple sequels.
Yeah, so which game do you think achieved its goal better?
But Call of Duty also paved the way to a franchise that is still absolutely booming and using the exact same method that it was using.
It also
minus
paved
the added
the way
garbage
to Infinite Warfare.
Garbage. Yeah, Infinite Warfare.
Honestly, no. The thing is, I was just
too
hoping
much.
that Travis would say something that would sway me to Call of Duty, but I just can't vote against Wind Waker. That's the thing. Like, in terms of what's like an overall better game to me and a more cohesive game, I just think Wind Waker does do it better. I have issues with Wind Waker. I think that Wind Waker will probably beat a lot of the games that are on this list, but with Modern Warfare, I don't think it's. Maybe it's that like Call of Duty games don't really change much from time to time, and I am gonna ding it on that.
Well, it
can't. It does. Well, it should at least try to do something else. If you're just going to keep advancing the multiplayer, why do you have to keep making a new game and selling it for $60?
No. They have been trying to advance it. It's just with garbage. More.
Yeah.
They just go more and more futuristic. And then
I also don't like
turns
Phantom
me off.
Hourglass, but I mean, like that. I'm trying to see if I can change my opinions on that game too. I just want somebody to try to defend like the Triforce collecting thing. I know that they had other ideas to put there, but they put that in there instead. I think because of time constraints and. Wind Waker, why do you do this to me? I'm gonna sound like a Wind Waker hater. I don't hate the game. It's just I like other Zelda games more.
I think your stance should be similar to my Mario 64 stance. There are some things that are annoying, but we can't deny how iconic it is and everything that it does great.
Yes.
Triforce collecting was annoying, and it does take an hour or so, but even while you're exploring, like, you're humming the music while you're traveling the Great Sea, collecting rupees is always fun. Like, as tedious as it is somewhat fun to just explore during that time also, I would say.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Travis, is your vote actually for Modern Warfare or is it for Wind Waker? Is it going to sweep?
I don't know, because I have so much love for Call of Duty 4. Like, I almost put it on my top 5 list. Just because of how much, like, I played split screen with all of my friends and my brother and all of his friends. And, because, like, those campaigns were good. It was, like, once they started getting into, Black Ops that they started, like, caring for the campaign at all. So I'll still vote for Call of Duty just because when it comes back to it, I don't know if I'll ever play Wind Waker again, but
yeah.
I
Wind
will
Waker's not
definitely play
getting
Call of
shade
Duty
for me. It's
4
not.
again.
No, yeah, I'm sure. Well,
all right, so
2-1, Wind Waker advances.
First time I lost.
sorry, Travis.
Oh, wow.
It's okay,
This next
it had
one
to
you're going to be
happen.
the deciding vote on again.
Ugh,
Yeah, Resident Evil and
maybe,
Sonic Mania. Holy crap. To introduce Resident Evil is the staple. If I say survival horror, you probably think of Resident Evil, unless you think of Silent Hill. But Resident Evil kind of started this whole movement. Every horror game that comes out now kind of based off of Resident Evil. It defined what the genre should be about. Sonic Mania, on the other hand, saved the Sonic franchise. It was shit after shit after shit, and then this beautiful fan-made game that has an incredible backstory, I think, in terms of its development, and it was universally loved. It went back to what people loved about Sonic, and so, again, this is kind of similar to the Celeste Metroid Prime thing. You have this well-established game from a huge company, and then you have this smaller, not really indie, right? Sonic Mania wasn't an indie game, but it's indie-like in terms of who developed it, and so it's a clash of two beautiful games that come from very different backgrounds. And so I'll start because Resident Evil is one of, if not my favorite game of all time. I just want to capitalize what I was saying earlier. This game, everything we said about Outlast is only there because I would say of Resident Evil. Silent Hill is different, and so it's hard to compare the two. Resident Evil is the perfect example of how to make a game scary without just jump scares. There were a couple to add to the tension, but it was scary because you had limited ammo. It was scary because you didn't know, should I use my one healing item now? Should I use my last 3 bullets on this wild dog, or should I save it for the next room? You never know, and having ink ribbons with limited saves makes it scary because you don't know if you should save your game. Everything is a difficult choice. And it's stressful, and it's very tense, and it keeps that from beginning to end. And I think that is such a hard thing to do. And for the first survival horror game to nail that so perfectly, I think is absolutely incredible. And so, regardless of what happened to the end, Resident Evil is a game that, like, has absolutely entered my heart, which is sad because it's very scary and it shouldn't be in my heart. But it defined a genre, and I think that's incredible. And I'm so glad it did because I love horror games and I love survival games, and even games like Last of Us with the limited ammo scheme. All that stuff I think comes from a game like Resident Evil. So that's kind of my stance on that one to start.
I will say this, if we're talking about games, because I remember talking to you about Resident Evil and about how Resident Evil 5 you thought was fun co-op, but wasn't like a really good like Resident Evil game at all. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about I want to mention it because I know it's going to come up in one way or another. Sonic had way longer of a dark period than Resident Evil ever had.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Oh my god, it was atrocious. And I know I'm going to get hate for this, but I'm going to say exactly what I feel in terms of what I'm talking about modern Sonic games. Sonic Colors, good. Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Levels, good. Where Hog Levels, terrible. Let's see what else. I was literally just trying to compete with beat 'em up, or like hack and slash beat 'em up games or whatever. Lost World, terrible. I have it for 3DS. I don't know why I still have it. I guess it's just a memento of how stupid I am when I bought the game. I almost bought a full price too, which is even stupider of me. But in terms of, like, Sonic Generations was good, but they would keep flip-flopping between the two I don't even want to talk about Forces, because you're playing a Sonic game to play with the Sonic characters. Why do you have a thing to create your own? That's just stupid. But what Sonic Mania did, and I'm sure you heard it like 1,000 times, is it brought it back to that old school style of what made Sonic the rival to Mario. Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 3, those are kind of like a package deal. Sonic CD. Those are the games that made Sonic a competitor. Those are the games that made me fall in love with Sonic. Those are the games that Mania is emulating with bringing back levels and bringing in a couple new levels. If I'm going to say anything bad about Sonic Manias, I have to say that I don't like the fact it didn't bring in many other new levels, because the new levels like Studiopolis Zone were freaking fantastic. Titanic Monarch is one of my new favorite Sonic levels out of any game. The music was freaking fantastic. Christian Whitehead, Go to West Games, did a fantastic job in creating Sonic Mania. But not many people, unless you have played like Sonic 2, Sonic and Knuckles, unless you play the games for the Genesis, will really give a shit about Sonic Mania. I was playing Sonic Mania with Pat for a while. He could not care less. But Pat might be a more of an extreme example. But the thing is, this game will not work with modern game audiences. It never will.
Yeah.
It was a nod to fans, and it's an extremely niche audience. In terms of this is what I hate to say. Like, Resident Evil just does that better than Sonic Mania about giving it more of an appeal to people who come into it. Right. Not many people will pick up Sonic Mania and see what's special about it. I can, because I played those games when I was like 4 years old. Mm-hmm. Not other people can do that.
Well, and to me, I think the killing blow would really be Sonic Mania, like you kind of alluded to, is built off the success of the 2D games. It used a lot of those assets and kind of just upgraded them. There were a lot of new things it did that was creative and fun, but a lot of it was old assets. What Resident Evil did, it was never done before. Resident Evil built, and unlike Mario 64, I think almost initially perfected the survival horror genre. It didn't come in clunky and gross. It came in pretty much incredible. It was limited in terms of how the camera works, so it used fixed camera angles that were incredible, and it's still fun in some of the games that are coming out today. So
hey, Mike,
took its limitations.
Can you let this one not be a sweep? I really want to vote for Sonic Mania.
Well, if you want to give it a pity vote, that's fine. You know, it won't offend me, but it's just Resident Evil, I think, perfected something that it started, which is crazy. I think there's very few survival horror games coming out today that match what the first one did, which is unbelievable. I mean, Mario 64 is great because it set the stage for better things in the future. Resident Evil is incredible because it perfected what it started. You know, and to me, that's just, it's mind-boggling to me. And so, and I
think we should just vote and get it over with, Mike. I think you already know. You can save some of that other stuff for later down the
You're right. Especially in the next matchup against Wind Waker, I might need some of that.
Ooh,
so
that'd be a tough one.
Yeah, so my vote's Resident Evil, obviously.
Travis, you also voting for Resident Evil?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to give it the sweep because Sonic Mania felt like a game that was specifically meant for me, so it makes me feel so special.
It's like me voting for Call of Duty. It's like it just spoke to you, so...
Yeah, it's like a game made for you, and that doesn't always happen. Yeah. So as much as I love Sonic Mania, Resident Evil. No, I gave it the vote. Sonic Mania is better, damn it.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, this next matchup's going to suck for me. Those are like literally my number 1 and number 2 favorite games, Wind Waker and Resident Evil. But, all right.
Hey, randomly generated bracket.
Yeah, you know, it happens. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
Bye.